First of all, tell us your name, your family, where you came from.
Well, my name is Larry Rice, and of course I had the privilege of being president of Rogers State University now for a little more than 15 years. But I'll tell you how I grew up, and it was a wonderful place to grow up. I was born and raised in rural Mays County. We had an old family farm out east of Maisie, and my dad worked on the farm and a little bit of ranching, and as well as somewhere along the way in the Depression era, he learned to be a concrete finisher, and so that was his trade, if you would. My parents did not have a high school education. They had, I think, a sixth grade education, but I was blessed to be the youngest of 5 children. So to translate that means that my parents, as well as my 4 other siblings, helped me go to school and graduate debt-free with my bachelor's degree. So I couldn't get a job that I thought I deserved after having a bachelor's degree. So there was some federal money back in the 70s. If you'll recall, President Johnson had declared war on poverty and crime. So there was considerable federal money for police officers to go to school. So I signed on to the Pryor Police Department, and they were kind enough to hire me, and that's how I finished my master's degree. So the federal government paid for my master's degree, and my late friend Mickey Perry was teaching at Rogers State College. It probably was Claremore Junior College, if I recall correctly. And he knew I had a master's degree, and we had become friends because he was on the Claremore Police Department, he and Grady Lowry and many others that I still see today. And so Mickey said, you know, they're going to hire a full-time police science or criminal justice person up at the Claremore Junior College because they want the program to be full-time. So I came and applied, and the only thing I had to put on my resume is I was a police officer, I had a master's degree, and I'd been an FFA. So I think those resonated with Dr. Mosier because he'd previously been an FFA teacher, if I recall, or in that occupation. So lo and behold, he hired me. Betty Jackson was the vice president, and Betty left soon after that, and Toby Titsworth became my boss. And that was in August of 1979. So I was blessed to go to work here, and it was like sink or swim. You get the program up with a decent enrollment, and you kind of have a job. So I was fortunate, and the timing was good. We had an indoor rifle range here at Rogers State College that was left over from the military days, and so we used that to train police officers and to do reserve officer training. We also, in those days, would teach riflery as an Olympic sport to our students.
I remember
so
them
you
having
remember that?
I remember them having a rifle team.
Yes, and so that was quite a positive thing for our students because in the summertime there were summer camps that would allow them to teach. In the camps, they would allow them to teach riflery in regard to the NRA and things of that nature. So, and I can't take all the credit for that because we hired a retired Marine named Chuck Radmer, and Chuck and I became great friends. And he actually was the range master. They sent me to the Smith & Wesson Armor School back in Massachusetts. So I went to the Smith & Wesson Armor School. So that endeared me even more to the local police department because in those days, no one carried a Glock or anything like that. We all had those just revolvers, and the majority of them were Smith & Wesson. They kind of had the corner on the market, so that opened some doors for the range and for me as well, and to be able to work on those guns. And so it was very blessed. So Chuck Radmer and I'll digress. We remained friends until he died at 99 years of age, and he had a home in Cave Springs, Arkansas. His son had become a deputy sheriff in Los Angeles after college and so forth. So he moved to Las Vegas, and after a while his son went to work for Walmart in their internet security, and lo and behold the son was transferred back to Northwest Arkansas. So at about 85 years old, Chuck had to move back to Northwest Arkansas to be near his son. So his only son that was nearby. So that was just a bit of history that we love. There's a colorful colonel named Dudley Britton, and he and Radmer were friends, but Dudley had slowly taken over the rifle range. And so after I'd been here a little bit, Dr. Mosier said, I want you to move over to the rifle range. I said, I think we've lost control of it. We don't have any Claremore Junior College courses in there. But Colonel Britton was running a lot of good things, a lot of NRA type schools, and so I did, and then along came Chuck Radmer. I think perhaps that Dudley Britton helped us find Chuck Radmer, and so that's a one story that I will always relish is that opportunity. So I'll try to bring some conclusion to this long drawn out story. So I was at the Claremore Junior College and then Rogers State College until 1985, and working here on the Hill. And in 1985, Toby Titsworth and Dr. Mosier suggested I go to Pryor and formally establish a campus on the old Whitaker State Children's Home. The Oklahoma National Guard had taken over the children's home closed, and so there's a lot of vacant state land. So the Oklahoma Military Department took that facility over, and so I was asked to go to Pryor since I lived there, and we started the RSU Pryor in 1985. We didn't really have much classes until '86. Let me hasten to say, Claremore Junior College had concurrent classes already in Pryor, but with my being full-time in Pryor in 1985, we established a presence. The military department gave me the school building on the Whitaker State Children's Home property. And that was really good, except the chalkboards were knee-high because it was a grade school. But it was free, and my office, the military gave me an office, and the university paid for a phone, and I went out and hired some local high school teachers, and we started RSU in an elementary school building, and so it has blossomed, and then we moved a couple more times as the mission of the Oklahoma Military Department and the Oklahoma National Guard as the mission changed, and then when then Senator Bourne was able to direct the Thunderbird Youth Academy or the Thunderbird Challenge, then it changed again. They needed more and more space, and so finally the legislature, with Stratton Taylor's influence, built us a facility on the military land there in Pryor, and we remained there until about 5 or 6 years ago, and Sanders Mitchell coaxed us to come to the industrial park. So that's the story of RSU Pryor. And I'll back up. In 1985, we had also established a similar program in Bartlesville that a lady, a very bright lady named Dr. Adele Register, who was a scientist, and she established that campus in Bartlesville. Again, we had concurrent classes, but not a formal building and not a location called Rogers State College. So then the next event in my career